Ray to us and brings Robin to us and brings us all together. So good morning, good morning. Here we are in the month where which our topic is community in the golden age. Good morning, Regina. So wonderful to see you. And today, the title that came through me is Auspicious Commonality. Auspicious Commonality, and we'll get into that in a moment. However, you all know we're going to start with a little giggle, a little joke, because there is no duality in spirit. And as much as we may allow ourselves, as I may allow myself to sink into the seriousness of the divine, there is also the joy and the glee and the giddiness and the silliness. So there was a home health care worker. And this home health care worker went to people's homes to take care of them. And she had written on the side of her car, "Where do you belong?" This is something she had written on the side of her car. She was a metaphysician and she had it written on the side of her car. Much like, I see cars, I don't know if you do on the freeway, with something written on them, not just advertisements, but some sort of question, some sort of something telling us. So anyway, she had that written on her car. "Where do you belong?" So she was on her rounds to see her clients or her patients, and her car ran out of gas. So it only ran out of gas about a half a block from the gas station. So she got out of her car and walked to the gas station and said, "Excuse me, my car ran out of gas. Could you sell me a gas can? And so I can buy gas and take it back and put it in my car." This particular gas station had no gas cans for sale. I don't think they have that these days. But anyway, this one did not. And so she thought, what am I going to do? So she was very resourceful. She walked back to her car and she opened up the trunk. And in the trunk of her car, she had a bedpan. So she took the bedpan and went back to the gas station and filled it up with gas. Okay. So she walks gently, holding it, easily holding it back to her car. And as she opens up, the gas tank of her car, there are two people standing across the street watching her. And so she slowly puts the gas into the car. She gets it in. And one of the two people said, "If this thing starts up, I don't know about you, but I belong to God." From the question she had. Yeah. So just a little giggle, because belonging is a part of auspicious commonality. So let's start out with some definitions. I love words, as you know. However, I love it also when we are on the same page, or at least that we have an agreement as to what it is we're co-creating here today. Because I remind you that I am up here with the microphone and the iPad. However, we are co-creating here today. Whatever it is that shows up because of each one of our presences and what we add to it, what we give to it, what we bring to it. So, auspicious commonality. Auspicious, I looked it up, and it is known as promising, success, opportune, and favorable. So isn't that wonderful? Favorable, opportune, promising success. Just thinking that that is a quality that we have in us. It makes me kind of wiggle and feel good. Woo, opportune, auspicious. And the next one is commonality. And commonality is known as sharing of customary attributes. And it also could be known as sharing of common attributes. So auspicious commonality. So in what way does that come together? I was being with it, spirit. What way does that come together? And it became very clear that auspicious commonality is about belonging. Auspicious commonality is belonging to that which we already are. Because each one of us, we have these gorgeous body temples that we walk around with. However, what's inside? Spirit. Yes, we have lots of organs and all these other wonderful things that work on their own magically to me. However, we are the mansions that carry around spirit, or the condominiums, if you want to be, that carry around spirit. So this whole thing of believing is being a part of the spiritual family. Each one of us is a member of the spiritual family. And as I said about the co-creation that we're doing here this morning, our spiritual family could not be what it is without each and every one of us. Without each and every one of us. It can exist, but it cannot exist without the qualities, the availabilities, the willingnesses that each one of us brings to the planet, that each one of us brings to. And as Reverend Michael and Reverend Jones say that each one of us brings to the world, because the world and the planet are two different things. The planet is the planet. The world is that consciousness which we have all made happen by our consciousness. What is the world? It's an outpicturing of exactly what each one of us believes, outpicturing of exactly what each one of us expects and accepts is absolutely happening. So the world could not be what it is without each one of us. And so I got into this belonging thing, and I was being with it all week long and just letting it rumble around inside of me and just saying to Spirit, Spirit, belonging, belonging, belonging. What's this about? And what really showed up is that there are three elements of belonging. There are probably more, however, the three that showed up for me was being seen for your uniqueness, being connected to like minds, souls, and hearts, and being supported in all of your endeavors. And we all belong to all of those sorts of availabilities. I read a quote by Socrates that says, I am not Greek, not even Athenian. I am a citizen of planet Earth. Yeah, that each one of us is a citizen here, and that each one of us chose to come here at the time that we chose to come here for times such as these. You know, when I open up my iPad or my computer or even my phone sometime, I see a lot of information, I'll call it, that's masquerading as the truth, that's saying to itself that it's the truth, that's telling us that it's the truth. However, the truth of the real truth is what we know from within ourselves, you know? All the headlines we see, all the lack of limitation that we hear about, all the this, that, and the other that we hear about actually is not the truth of the truth. And some of those things that we hear about, as we often say here, it's our prayer list. We just finished the wonderful physics of prayer class. And in the physics of prayer class, a lot of things came up. And one of the things that came up was about the feeling tone, and also knowing that our prayer, as the thoughts and words are formed, the prayer is already being answered. So that if I might see something when I am using public media, I'll call it, that may feel objectionable to me, what that's saying to me is, you belong to this spiritual family. You belong to this planet family, and it's yours to now take it into prayer. It is yours to now know something different. It is now yours to accept and know, even if you don't call it different, accept and know the truth. Instead, and it's important to not hold it separate from who and whom I am. It's important to know that it all fits together. You know, there's all this divine puzzle that it all fits together, so that we know that when we see things that, when I see things that might be objectionable to me, I get to know, now, so what's on the other side of that, Spirit? What is on the other side of that? What is mine to be? What is mine to know? And especially, where in this do I belong? In what part of this do I belong? Do I belong as a prayer? Do I belong as a prayee? Do I belong as a believer? Do I belong as a refuter? Where in this is my belonging space? So I want to share a story with you about belonging. It's a Aboriginal custom that I read about. And in this Aboriginal custom, at a certain predetermined time, a young person is solemnly entrusted with a secret piece of knowledge or information that can prove vital to the tribe's survival. Now, the important part here is that it might be the location of a hidden water hole. It might be something else in the territory. It might be medicinal powers of a certain plant. No one else in the tribe, though, would be given this piece of important information. Only this one individual is given this knowledge. And when the time comes for them to share this knowledge, only they know this knowledge. Only they can add this to the puzzle of life, so to speak. And so this young person, it's a young person. It could be an old person too. Let's just say it's a young person, their Aboriginal tradition. And there is no time in spirit, so it can be just a person. Yeah. And so when this person is expected to contribute this to the welfare of their community, then is their opportunity to do so. And what does this bring them to? It brings them to belonging in this tribe. It brings them to belonging in this space. It brings them to, once again, bringing together the puzzle of the life of this particular community, of this Aboriginal tribe. And what struck me about that is each one of us has already been given something like that too. Each one of us, the day we decided to incarnate here, or even before the day, was given something like that. Something unique, something important, something pivotal, something that adds to the family of humanity. Each one of us was given something like that so that each one of us has an opportunity to belong. And this belonging is what brings up and out of us this auspicious commonality, because we are all one in the divine. We are all one entity. And then there are what I like to call little godlets of us. Each one of us is a little godlet. And, or you don't have to be a little godlet. You can be a magnificently mammoth godlet if you'd like. However, each one of us brings that. And then in that bringing that, each one of us belongs. And as we each belong, that belonging, it is our uniqueness seen, our connectivity to hearts, mind, and souls, and being supported in our day-to-day activities. Because as I belong, the support from the tribe, well, let's not call it the tribe, the support from the community. The support from the community shows up and shows out, so to speak. That's an old saying from a long time ago. But however, the support from this community shows, and I can feel it if I allow myself to feel it. So there is an inner belonging and there's an outer belonging. Yeah. So the outer belonging is like this Aboriginal tradition and what like that which each one of us is. However, there's an inner belonging. And this inner belonging, I believe and know, is what activates the outer belonging. It's what brings it up and out. And what is the inner belonging? The inner belonging is first being at home in your own body temple. And why do I say that? Because these are magnificent instruments that we own, and we get an opportunity to honor it, to be in love with it, to appreciate it, and to take good care of it. Yeah, being in love with our own body temple. And that to me is, and this is something that is a learning for me, that means for me, stop putting trash in it. Stop putting stuff in it that's not good for it. You know, yes, I may get a momentary high from it or a momentary hit from it. However, the most important part is being in a place of awareness about what I put in my body temple, how I treat my body temple. We have arms and legs and toes and feet for a reason. Am I moving my body temple? Yeah, really. Am I really, really, really being, and with that, being at home in this thing that I call my body temple? Am I doing that? Is that available? Am I giving myself an availability for this? Yeah, because as Brene Brown says, part of this is belonging to ourselves means being called to stand alone. So when we stand alone, first thing, honoring and being at home in our body temple. Second thing, trusting your heart. Trusting your heart. Allowing the intuition of your heart brain to speak to you and to act upon it. You know, we have two brains. It's been proven now. The quantum physicists, they're so fantastic and so thrilling to me. The quantum physicists have proven that we have a brain in our head and we have a brain in our heart. Yeah, and the two brains work interconnected to one another and work together. However, allowing ourselves to trust our heart brain, which also is our intuition, allowing ourselves to trust it and not just trust it, but to act upon it with boldness. Not just listening to what my heart says. If my heart says, I'm going to use an example for me. I'm pulling away from Costco and there's the person right there in the median strip who is asking for donations. If my heart says to give that person money, give it. Allow myself to not question it. Allow myself to know this is mine to participate in this moment. And as I give it, the whole prosperity thing for me, as I give it, I'm giving it away without any attachments. Just give it. It's none of my business what that person's going to do with that money after I give it to them. However, allowing my heart brain to speak to me. And it has spoken to me in this way when I'm pulling away from Costco and I'm in there eating the grapes I bought and I have the music on and I'm jamming. I got my Costco fix. However, that's an example for me of listening to your heart brain, listening to my heart brain. So the third thing we get to do is to appreciate ourselves. Appreciate ourselves. And we all know here, because we are master metaphysicians here at Agape Bay Area, that the attitude of gratitude changes things. Having an attitude of gratitude shifts the vibration of my very life. If I have an attitude of gratitude, more and more things show up for me to be grateful for. More and more and more and more and more. It starts pouring in as something I read in Reverend TJ's book. It deluges my life. Yeah. Yeah. So having this attitude of gratitude, these are three really easy, simple things that we get to do to be in a place of inner and outer belonging. Very easy things to do, things that we do all the time. And just like, thank you, Sarah, so much for the readings. Just like Sarah so wonderfully read in the readings, what Howard Thurman says is, for what we have sought, we have found in our own sense of identity. If I am seeking for anything, guess what? It's in the mirror there with me. Yeah, I'm seeking for anything. And that also in the mirror there with me is the belonging, because there's the inner and the outer belonging. We belong in this auspicious commonality. The inner belonging is what is our opportunity, our blessing to be with, to practice, to become a part of. So you might be thinking, this is kind of interesting, Reverend Verona. I like this. And so can you explain any ways other than your Costco runs, how this is working in my own life? So believe it or not, for an awful long time in my life, I didn't feel I belonged anyplace. I come from a family of tall, large people. Okay, I come from a family where the shortest person is 5'10". And they have robust bodies to go along with. And I'm talking about grandparents, aunties, uncles, siblings. My parents, not my sweet mama, but everybody else. So my not belonging started there because I was a short, skinny kid with the banged up knees because I did everything. I climbed trees, I fell around, surprise, I did everything. And so that, for a long time, I didn't feel I belonged. I didn't feel I belonged in that group, in that family, even though I knew I was a part of them. I mean, I did ask my parents one time, where did I come from? They said, you came from where everybody else came from. Sit down and be quiet. However, which was a statement of love in the home I grew up in. And then I went on to college, and I went to a college that was predominantly a Caucasian college in Minnesota, and where there was in the freshman class that I went, there were 60 people, and 6 of us were African American. So here we go again. I'm thinking I'm not belonging. Then I get out of college. I'm kind of bumbling around the United States, being a wild child, and not really doing anything with my life. And then I become a flight attendant, and yet again, I became a flight attendant at a time that it was the equal opportunity laws of the United States of America that made the carrier that I was hired with hire people who were minorities, people of color. Up until that point, they're just like, eh, 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 eh. However, they decided they wanted to have government funding. And so they decided, oh, might be a good idea to hire some people of color so we can not get sued by the federal government. So yet again, here I am in a place where possibly not belonging. I might be sometimes on an old queen of the air, the 747. She's an old queen now. I might be on a 747 with 350 people. I am the only African-American person on the whole airplane. And it happened regularly, all the time. So once again, this feeling I wasn't belonging. And then I retired from flying. And now I really don't know where I belong because my entire adult life, I've been a flight attendant. That's what the surface part of me said to me. Even though my entire life from the time I was 3 or 4 years old, I was ministering to people and with people from the time I can remember. And so then and this was something that I've worked a lot with my practitioner on. He'll say to me, kid, he said to me recently, kid, we've been doing this for about a decade. What do you think? Are you ready to let it go? Are you ready to let the story go? Are you ready to know that wherever you are, you belong, because wherever you are, spirit is, and wherever spirit is with other outlets of spirit, so you belong. So what I realized showed up for me is what I've just talked about here. What finally made me have that inner belonging, what made me know that wherever I go, I belong, is these things. First, I got to be at home with my body, however she looks at any given time. Just to be at home in my body and to honor her and to really know all the spectacular and wonderful things she does for me all the time, unbidden by me. All the things, like beating my heart, like waking me up this morning, like, yeah, all the things that happens to all of us. The second one was trusting my intuition, knowing that wherever I go, whatever I be, whatever I bring is well accepted there, is well known there, and that it's a part of that beingness, that entity also. And the third thing, appreciating myself. I finally got to the place where I can appreciate the Godlet that I am. Appreciating myself with my quirks and my foibles and my attributes, with everything. Appreciating myself as that little scrawny girl with the knocked knees that's still inside this grown-up woman here. Yeah, appreciating myself, knowing that I am that I am. So each one of us has an opportunity to be this, to experience this, to be a part of this. It's not just me. It's not just me, Reverend Verona. It's every single one of us, because we each came here with a container that cannot be even described of willingness. We each showed up because we're willing. When it came time to incarnate, I like to think that like there's some factory place, and so you step up and you say, okay, I'm ready to go now. I'm ready for Earth. Okay. Now, it may not be that way. However, the imagination of the unique being of spirit that I am likes to think of it that way. All I'm saying is each one of us, it's our opportunity to do the inner belonging and the outer belonging. And when we are part of the inner and outer belonging, then that auspicious commonality has no choice but to show up. You know how we often say in prayer, the words we speak, the realizations that we declare, the claiming that we do has no choice but to show up. And I'm saying that this inner and outer belonging, as I own it, as we own it, as each one of us owns it and embraces it and really has fun with it, really gets squinched down into it, and really allow yourself to be the truth of who and what you are, that the inner belonging radiates out to the outer belonging. And then the outer belonging, then we all fit, like that thing that Socrates said, I'm not Greek, I'm not Athenian, I am a citizen of this planet. I am a being of this planet. And I'd like to add, I am a being that without me, you, this space and place could not be what it is. There's no way it can be what it is without our willingness, without our givingness. So this all comes together as the golden community, because when I'm being auspicious commonality, embracing my inner and outer belonging, then of course the golden community shows up. And we are the golden community. Agape Bay Area, we are the golden community. And in whatever part of your life or my life that we are in, I am the golden community. Whether it's two people, whether it's you one by yourself, whether it's in a group of 100 people or 1,000 people, it is all the golden community. So my invitation No. My challenge for you today, invitation is kind of, to me, kind of wimpy for me, Reverend Verona. My challenge to you today is to allow yourself to belong to the divinity, to belong to this auspicious commonality of community by savoring, enjoying, and being inner and outer belonging. That's the challenge. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, yes, we are. All right, let's pray. Robert will be coming up to pray along with me.